Hi everyone, and welcome back to Your Channel Name. Ever wonder what makes a place so special that it's recognized by the United Nations? Well, in this video we're diving into UNESCO, what it stands for, what World Heritage Sites are, and then exploring half of Southeast Asia's incredible UNESCO-listed treasures. There are about 47 in total, so watch for Part 2 link in the description below. Let's get started. UNESCO stands for the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. It's a global body that recognizes locations of outstanding cultural or natural significance, called World Heritage Sites, to preserve them for future generations. In Southeast Asia, UNESCO has honored dozens of sites, ancient temples, historic cities, natural parks, and more, spanning countries from Cambodia and Indonesia to Vietnam and the Philippines. With nearly 47 such sites, we've split our list in two, so stay tuned for Part 2 after this link in the description below. First 23 UNESCO sites in Southeast Asia. Here's the first half, each with the year of UNESCO designation, a bit of background, and where you can find them. At number 1 we have Angkor, Cambodia. Year designated, not explicitly in sources, but Angkor is Cambodia's most iconic site. Background: built around the 12th century by Suryavarman II as a Hindu temple complex, later became Buddhist, one of the largest religious structures in the world. Location: near Siem Reap, Cambodia. At number 2 Temple of Preah Vihear, Cambodia. Year designated 2008. Background: an 11th-12th century cliff-top Hindu temple dedicated to Shiva, unique north-south axis design, long border dispute resolved in Cambodia's favor. Location: Chom Ksant District, Preah Vihear Province, Cambodia. At number 3 Sambor Pre Kuk, Cambodia. Year designated 2017. Background: built during the 7th century Chenla Kingdom era, capital Isanapura. Features prasats, ponds, lingams, octagonal towers among tropical forest. Location: Kampong Tom Province, Cambodia. At number 4 Borobudur Temple Compounds, Indonesia. Year designated 1991, from description of UNESCO listing. Background: a massive 9th century Buddhist monument with 9 stacked platforms, relief panels reflecting Buddhist cosmology. Location: Java, Indonesia. At number 5 Komodo National Park, Indonesia. Year designated, not specified. Background: volcanic island site home to Komodo dragons, rich marine biodiversity, natural heritage. Location: Indonesia. At number 6 Prambanan Temple Compounds, Indonesia. Year designated, not specified. Background: majestic Hindu temples near Borobudur, listed in UNESCO list. Location: Central Java, Indonesia. At number 7 Ujung Kulon National Park, Indonesia. Year designated, not specified. Background: natural site, last refuge of the Javan rhinoceros, rainforest ecosystem. Location: Java, Indonesia. At number 8 Sangiran Early Man Site, Indonesia. Year designated, not specified. Background: archaeological site with fossil remains of early hominids in Southeast Asia. Location: Java, Indonesia. At number 9 Tropical Rainforest Heritage of Sumatra, Indonesia. Year designated, not specified. Background: natural site, Sumatra's rich biodiversity including orangutans, elephants. Location: Sumatra, Indonesia. At number 10 Cultural Landscape of Bali Province, the Subak System, Indonesia. Year designated, not specified. Background: agricultural water management system reflecting ancient philosophy of harmony, Tri Hita Karana. Location: Bali, Indonesia. At number 11 Town of Luang Prabang, Laos. Year designated, not specified. Background: well-preserved fusion of traditional Lao and colonial French architecture. Location: northern Laos. At number 12 Vat Pao and Associated Ancient Settlements, Laos. Year designated, not specified. Background: ancient Khmer Hindu temple complex with cultural landscape. Location: Champasak Province, Laos. At number 13 Gunung Mulu National Park, Malaysia. Year designated, not specified. Background: natural site with extensive cave systems, rainforest, biodiversity. Location: Sarawak, Malaysian Borneo. At number 14 Kinabalu Park, Malaysia. Year designated, not specified. Background: natural site with Mount Kinabalu, the highest in SE Asia and unique flora-fauna. Location: Sabah, Malaysia. At number 15 Malacca and Georgetown, historic cities of the Straits of Malacca, Malaysia. Year designated 2008, initial and extension in 2011. Background: historic port cities blending Malay, Chinese, Indian, European cultures over 500 plus years. Location: Malacca and Penang, Georgetown, Malaysia. At number 16 Archaeological Heritage of the Lenggong Valley, Malaysia. Year designated, not specified. Background: archaeological site with prehistoric human activity in Southeast Asia. Location: Perak, Malaysia. At number 17, PYU Ancient Cities, Myanmar. Year designated, not specified. Background, ancient cities of the PYU people, early Irrawaddy Basin civilization, location, Myanmar. At number 18, Baroque churches of the Philippines, Philippines. Year designated, not specified. Background, unique fusion of European Baroque and native styles, religious importance. Location, various across the Philippines. At number 19, historic town of Vigan, Philippines. Year designated, not specified. Background, well-preserved Spanish colonial town with cobbled streets and ancestral houses. Location, Luzon, Philippines. At number 20, rice terraces of the Philippine Cordilleras, Philippines. Year designated, not specified. Background, 2000-plus-year-old Ifugao rice terraces showcasing indigenous engineering and culture. Location, Ifugao Province, Luzon. At number 21, Puerto Princesa Subterranean River National Park, Philippines. Year designated, 1999. Background, underground river flowing directly to the sea through limestone cave system. Location, Palawan, Philippines. At number 22, Tubata Reefs Natural Park, Philippines. Year designated, 1993. Background, biodiverse coral reef atoll, marine sanctuary. Location, Sulu Sea, Philippines. The last but not the least, at number 23, Singapore Botanic Gardens, Singapore. Year designated, not specified. Background, historic botanical garden blending scientific, cultural, and recreational values. Location, Singapore. And that wraps up the first 23 UNESCO World Heritage Sites in Southeast Asia, from ancient temples and colonial towns to rainforests and rice terraces. Which one surprised you the most, or would be on your bucket list? Drop it in the comments below. Stay tuned for part 2. You can click the link in the description below, where we'll tour the remaining sites, natural wonders, hidden gems, and more historical marvels. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to get notified when part 2 drops. Thanks for watching. See you next time.